Hi, this is William Graber for the Module 1 discussion presentation. So a little bit about myself. I currently teach at Donegal High School. I teach in the mathematics department, mostly algebra, and this is my third year there. Currently I'm pursuing a master's degree in STEM at Millersville, and before that I did my undergrad at Penn State. So in my personal life, I'm married, don't have any kids, but my wife and I have close families on each side. I enjoy playing and watching sports all year. My wife and I enjoy traveling. We love eating food, and we love to play games, board games, and I love to play video games personally. So for the questions that we were tasked with responding to, the first one, how do students learn science? So this was interesting for me to see from a math teacher's perspective, but I love the how people learn framework, and I think it relates pretty directly to teaching math. So learner-centered approach, using and shaping their preconceptions, that is key in science, but it's also key in other subjects, and that taking what they know and making sure that you build upon that or shape that to what is true in the subject. And then knowledge-centered approach, to get students to be where you want them to be, you have to actually give them the tools and the knowledge to get there. So that's pretty key for them to learn it. And then I think one thing that's huge in education is creating a community-centered just culture in your classroom where questioning and risk-taking is encouraged and welcomed, and students just feel safe in the classroom environment that is had. And students definitely need to feel safe in science with all the different experiments that take place. And lastly, in chapter 11, I loved how they talked about an active learning process, and you saw it with the experiment that took place, starting with the glass vacuum, and then going all the way to just talking about gravity. It was really cool to see how the students were involved and engaged, both with hands-on and with discussions. So barriers that I saw, preconceptions. There's a lot more preconceptions that I ever thought of for science, and you really have to take those and morph them into being correct for science. So that would take a lot of time. Talking about time, you have to allow a lot of time and be very time oriented as a science teacher to be able to allow them to explore, monitor their learning, and then be able to assess where they're at as learners. So my classroom currently, I use prior knowledge all the time to build on. In math, just like the preconceptions, it's a little bit different based on how I read it, but it's still a building blocks, take what was learned and build upon that. I love the community-centered approach, and I use that frequently, and I don't even start lessons until I get to know the students personally before we do anything math-wise. But what I'd like to learn from the course is how to be better with creating opportunities for exploration and engagement in class through an approach with STEM. Because right now, my STEM perspective, the last question is, I mostly use math rather than science up here. I use math and then incorporate the other parts or the other domains of STEM here and there. I'd love to get to an integrated discipline, but that's the main goal. Currently, that's where I'm at. And the last part, love Three Musketeers bar. Looking forward to the class.